Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're revving up for a really fascinating look at a true legend.
Oh yeah, the Tamiya ORV chassis.
Exactly. Thinking of classics like the Frog, the Monster Beetle, amazing kits. But even legends have their weak spots.
Hmm.
So our mission for you today is navigating the best engineering fix for its Achilles heel, that rear trailing arm suspension.
Yeah, that pivot point.
We're looking at stiffeners, nylon, carbon fiber, even 3D printed metal.
Three very different approaches.
And here's the crucial twist we need to unpack. Sometimes the strongest part, well, it isn't the smartest choice at all. It can actually cause bigger problems down the line, this whole upgrade cascade idea.
Right, it's fascinating, really. Tamiya's design back in '83, that innovative space frame. Great low center of gravity.
Groundbreaking at the time.
Absolutely.
Mm.
But the vulnerability was baked in with that independent trailing arm suspension. It used ABS plastic, which we know can be pretty brittle.
Yeah, it snaps rather than mends sometimes.
Precisely. And the way they mounted the shocks longitudinally, plus those simple dry joints, basically just plastic rubbing on plastic pivots,
Okay.
well, it concentrated all the suspension forces, all the drivetrain load, right onto those small plastic points. A real design material mismatch, you could say.
So high stress, wrong material for that specific spot.
Exactly. High leverage forces meeting a material just not quite up to handling that kind of localized cyclical stress. It wasn't usually one big crash that killed them.
So it's fatigue.
Yeah, material fatigue. Think
Yeah.
tiny microscopic cracks forming and just spreading over thousands and thousands of stress cycles, like bending a paperclip back and forth until it just gives way.
Okay, that makes sense. But here's the thing that maybe catches people out, modern power systems. How do they change the game for this vintage design?
But oh, dramatically. The ORV was designed for, fairly mild brushed 540 motors. That was standard then. Now you drop in a high power brushless system, slap in a LiPo battery. The torque, the speed, the violence of the impacts, it's just way beyond the original design spec.
So those stock arms just don't stand a chance.
They feel much, much faster. So honestly, putting in some kind of stiffener isn't just a cool upgrade anymore. For a modernized ORV, it's pretty much an essential correction if you actually want to run it hard.
Okay, so we need strength. But what kind of strength? Let's dive into the materials. First up, nylon. Maybe seems a bit basic compared to others.
Yeah, people might overlook it for the flashier options,
Right.
but nylon's strength is its resilience, its ability to absorb energy.
How so?
Well, it has high ductility. It can bend and flex quite a lot without actually breaking. Good tensile strength, too.
Yeah.
And it's excellent at absorbing shocks and vibrations precisely because it flexes and springs back.
And it gives a little.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's very resistant to fatigue failure, the very thing that kills the stock arms. And it's cost-effective.
Any downsides?
Sure. It's hygroscopic, absorbs moisture from the air, which can change its properties slightly, can be sensitive to temperature extremes, and sometimes the mounting holes can wear or wallow out over time with use. But it's philosophy. Energy dissipation through elastic deformation. It bends. It doesn't break easily.
Right, okay, so that's nylon. But then you've got the other extreme, right? People often think stiffer is always better for performance. What about carbon fiber?
Carbon fiber.
Yeah.
Definitely brings incredible low weight and really high stiffness. That translates to very precise suspension action, less slop. And reducing unsprung weight is always good for handling.
Sounds great for performance.
It is, but it's inherently brittle. That's the big trade-off. It really doesn't like localized impacts, like a sharp rock hitting it just right.
So it snaps.
Yeah, its failure mode is it's typically sudden, catastrophic. It just shatters or snaps, often without much warning. Plus, it's expensive and basically impossible to repair if it does break. Its philosophy is resisting deformation right up until it fails completely.
Yikes. Okay. Then there's this sort of ultimate strength option, maybe. 3D printed metal.
Yeah, things like stainless steel or aluminum prints, these offer the highest absolute strength, incredible rigidity, fantastic durability. They don't really care about moisture or temperature.
And you can get clever designs, too.
Exactly. Allows for optimized shapes like Ampro Engineering does that clever dual point mount to spread the load better. But there are significant downsides.
Like weight?
Oh, yeah. A substantial weight penalty. That adds a lot of unsprung weight, which can actually hurt traction and handling. And it's very expensive.
How does it fail?
Critically, under a really severe impact, it will permanently bend rather than snap. But here's the key. It transfers virtually 100% of that impact energy straight through to whatever it's bolted to. Its philosophy is resist deformation and just pass the energy along.
Okay, that last point sounds potentially problematic. If we just pick the strongest material, like metal, does that solve everything?
Well, that's where the upgrade cascade comes in. It's rarely that simple, especially in a vintage vehicle.
Right.
Making one part incredibly strong, like with metal or even carbon fiber, doesn't automatically make the whole car tougher.
Right.
It often just shifts the weak point somewhere else.
So if that stiffener is totally unyielding and you land a hard jump, where does that energy go?
Exactly. It gets transmitted directly into the next parts in line. The ORV's quite brittle ABS chassis plates, the gearbox housing.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, you massively increase the risk of cracking the main chassis or destroying the gearbox side plates. And that's a much more serious, much more expensive problem than just replacing a trailing arm.
Is there any evidence for this?
Actually, yes. It's really telling that Ampro Engineering, who makes some beautiful 3D printed metal parts, explicitly warn on their site that for hardcore bashers, it's actually better to stick with the stock suspension or maybe a nylon upgrade rather than use their own metal parts.
Wow, okay. They're basically saying their super strong part might cause worse damage elsewhere if you bash hard.
It's a powerful validation. It shows just how critical having some protective flex in the system really is, especially with vintage plastics.
That's a crucial insight. Okay, so this brings us to recommendations for you, the listener. Based on how you use your ORV, let's say you're the basher going hard off-road, jumps, rough terrain.
For that person, absolutely the best choice is a stiffener made from high-grade nylon, like RPM makes, for example.
Why nylon specifically?
Because it acts like that mechanical fuse. It's strong enough for normal driving and moderate hits, but under a severe impact, it will flex significantly, absorbing energy, maybe even break eventually, before that energy destroys your irreplaceable vintage chassis. It shields the more fragile parts.
That makes perfect sense from an engineering perspective.
Okay.
What about the performance-tuned driver? Maybe racing on smoother surfaces, high speed, focused on handling.
There, maybe a stiffer nylon composite offers a good balance. You get more rigidity than standard nylon for better suspension precision, but still retain some impact absorption. Carbon fiber offers max rigidity, sure, but the risk of it just shattering from even a minor weird hit during a race is pretty high.
So nylon composite as a middle ground?
Probably the smartest bet for performance without excessive risk.
Got it. And finally, the shelf queen. The beautiful restoration that mostly sits on display, maybe see some light driving.
For that build.
Yeah.
If performance drawbacks like weight aren't really a concern, then yeah, 3D printed metal is the ultimate statement piece. It looks incredible, feels incredibly solid.
It's about the ultimate perceived durability and just the cool factor, the aesthetics.
Exactly. Performance is secondary. It's about completing the look with the most robust looking part.
Okay, great breakdown. So let's wrap this up. To recap, it seems for the vast majority of Tamiya ORV owners out there who actually run their cars, the most intelligent engineering choice is probably a high-quality nylon stiffener.
That ability to flex and dissipate energy isn't a weakness in this context. It's actually a vital protective feature for the whole vintage system.
It really shows that sometimes the individually strongest component isn't the best solution for the overall system, which leads to our final thought for you to maybe mull over. In your own hobbies, maybe projects at work, or even just tinkering, where else might a focus on just maximizing single component strength be creating an upgrade cascade, a hidden weakness somewhere else that you haven't quite considered yet?